Hatred isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's a subtle smile masking a clenched fist, a polite nod in public followed by whispers of sabotage behind your back. True hatred is patient. It doesn't erupt. It waits, observes, and plans. When it strikes, the damage is irreparable. Relationships fracture, careers crumble, families break apart. The worst part, most people never see it coming. They doubt themselves instead of questioning the one quietly poisoning them from the start. In this video, we'll uncover 5 unmistakable signs of true hatred, the kind that seeps into your life like a slow poison. These aren't fleeting frustrations or petty grudges. These are deeply rooted patterns that, once recognized, will transform how you protect your inner peace. If you value your clarity, trust, and future, you need to know these signs before it's too late. Stay with me until the end. If you're ready to see the world clearly, subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and comment below. I choose to guard my mental peace with unwavering resolve. Now, let's dive in. The first sign: they actively undermine your success. This truth stings. But if you've faced enough challenges, it feels familiar. Some people don't just dislike you, they want you to fail. Not impulsively, but with calculated, deliberate intent. They don't shout or make a scene. Instead, they're silent, saboteur, sowing doubt in others' minds, pulling strings behind the scenes, and ensuring their tracks are never found in the chaos they create. On the surface, they may seem supportive, even friendly, but every smile hides a quiet satisfaction when you stumble. The cruelest part is most only see it after the damage is done. A clear sign of true hatred is when someone quietly but deliberately works against your success. They're not the loud critic you can confront and defend against. No, they're far more cunning. They nod when you speak, cheer your ideas, but subtly shift the environment so those ideas never take root. Picture a colleague who forgets to send you a critical email before a big meeting, yet sends it to everyone else. Or a family member who, in casual chats, subtly undermines your credibility, perhaps by saying, "He's been so stressed lately," or "She's always been a bit impulsive." These small remarks don't raise alarms immediately, but over time, they craft a narrative about you that you never got to challenge. At work, these people might help with your project, but miss deadlines or lose key information. Knowing you'll take the fall, they might share your ideas with the boss and claim them as their own, or highlight your smallest mistake to diminish your achievements. In personal life, they play a similar game. They stir conflict between you and loved ones, not with bold accusations, but with vague hints and half-truths that erode trust. Over time, you notice patterns, invitations you never receive, opportunities that vanish without explanation, and friends who suddenly treat you differently without reason. From a Stoic perspective, the challenge isn't just spotting these patterns, but responding without letting anger take over. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the harm others cause is only as strong as the power you give it in your mind. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but refusing to let it disrupt your inner calm. Stoics don't deny human malice exists. They choose not to let it dictate their peace. Practically, this means 2 things: stay vigilant and stay in control. Instead of reacting emotionally to every slight, assess the situation with clarity. Is that forgotten message a one-off, or a recurring pattern? Are those casual remarks about you isolated or echoed in conversations you're not part of? Confronting them in anger is the worst move. It's what they want, making you look unhinged while they play the victim. Instead, quietly reduce their influence. Share less with them. Document key interactions. Build alliances with those who see your true character. If possible, produce undeniable results so their whispers can't compete with your success. Silent sabotage thrives in the shadows. It works best when you're distracted, self-doubting, or too trusting to see what's really happening. By bringing it into the light, not through public accusations, but through private awareness, you strip away its greatest weapon: secrecy. Here's the hard truth you must accept. To protect yourself, some people find joy in your lowest moments. Your failure fuels their quiet satisfaction, validating the resentment they've long held. It's tempting to try to win them over, to prove you're worthy of their respect or kindness. But that's not the Stoic way. You're not here to change their view of you. You're here to preserve your dignity, focus, and peace of mind. Epictetus taught that we should only worry about what's in our control: our thoughts, actions, and choices. Let go of the rest. Trying to change an enemy's heart is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. It's exhausting and futile. Redirect your energy from defending yourself against them to living so well that their hatred becomes irrelevant. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but managing it wisely without losing your balance. Stay calm and refuse to play their game. And you take away the one thing they crave: your emotional reaction. Hatred feeds on the chaos it creates. A Stoic starves it by standing firm in tranquility. Recognizing this first sign is critical, but it's just the beginning. Another sign, equally dangerous, erodes you further when someone's eyes light up, not at your success, but at your pain. Once you see it, you'll never forget it. The second sign: they take pleasure in your misfortune. This isn't just mild envy or someone in a bad mood when you share good news. This is a darker truth. People who are genuinely thrilled when you suffer and can't hide their excitement when life knocks you down. They may cloak their words in politeness, but the mask never fits perfectly. A true ally listens without judgment, asks questions to understand your needs, and offers genuine solutions or empathy. Their voice, demeanor, and eyes align in compassion. But those who harbor hatred speak the right words with the wrong energy. Their eyes might glint a bit too brightly. Their questions probe too deeply, feeling invasive. Instead of easing your burden, their words add weight, subtly dragging you down. They might lower their voice to seem caring, but you sense a hidden thrill in their tone. They try to keep a neutral face, but a fleeting smirk betrays them, noticeable only to the observant. They ask about your struggles not to help, but because your pain is their entertainment. A friend hearing about your legal battle might suddenly fixate on every detail, offering no useful advice, just listening like it's a gripping story. When you share financial struggles, they feign sympathy, but steer the conversation to your past mistakes, framing your situation as self-inflicted. The clearest sign isn't how they react to your failures, but how they respond to your successes. When you share good news, their response is lukewarm, quickly changing the subject. But when trouble strikes, they have all the time in the world to linger on it. They sit up straighter, their voice grows animated, and they seem relieved to dwell on your woes. On social media, their behavior is even clearer. They ignore your achievements, but rush to comment on your struggles, posting seemingly supportive words that amplify your issues for others to see. This isn't random. It's a corrosive pattern that feeds on negativity, turning your hardships into their subtle social currency. The danger isn't just the emotional pain, but the gradual psychological toll. Over time, you start questioning who you can trust with your vulnerabilities. You might stop sharing good news, sensing it's dismissed. That's exactly what they want, to shrink your emotional openness until you're only the struggling version of yourself in their presence. That version feeds their ego and reinforces their perceived superiority. From a Stoic lens, this is where disciplined perception becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius said we're disturbed not by events, but by our judgments of them. When someone revels in your struggles, it's tempting to feel anger or hurt. But a Stoic sees their reaction as a reflection of their character, not yours. Instead of confronting them in an emotional storm, adjust your boundaries. Share less. Curate what parts of your life they see. Protect your energy like a fortress guards its gates. This doesn't mean retreating from the world or distrusting everyone. It means observing patterns, not just isolated events. A single off-tone reaction might be minor, but a consistent pattern of delight in your struggles is something else entirely. That's what you address, not by changing them, but by reclaiming control over your emotional state. As Epictetus taught, true freedom lies in knowing your limits of control. You can't make someone celebrate your success if they've chosen to resent it, but you can stop their joy from wounding you by refusing to let their reactions shake your core. They go beyond personal satisfaction and actively sabotage the most vital parts of your life. They don't just want to see you fall, they want to sever the relationships that could help you rise again. Their methods are subtle, isolating you before you realize the damage. The next tactic is the most insidious. If you cherish your strongest relationships, you must spot it before it's too late. The third sign: they turn others against you. This hatred is uniquely dangerous because it's invisible until the harm is done. They don't attack openly, that would expose them. Instead, they pose as the caring friend, reliable colleague, or devoted family member. They craft an image as a safe, trustworthy confidant, so others see them as a neutral, credible voice. That's when their real work begins, not supporting you, but quietly undermining your reputation and credibility. They mention your name in conversations, not to accuse, but to plant a seed of doubt. They might say, "I just hope Sarah's handling things okay. She's been under so much pressure lately." On the surface, it sounds caring, but it subtly suggests you're unstable or overwhelmed, eroding trust without you knowing. They don't lie outright. They mix half-truths with missing context to make their words plausible. If you're stressed at work, they'll mention it, but frame it as your judgment slipping. If you made a mistake, they'll highlight it, omitting how you took responsibility and fixed it. By framing their concerns as reluctant and private, they build their own credibility while making you seem unreliable. I saw this with David, a senior manager at a large firm. He'd built strong team relationships over years, but a colleague, Mark, slowly became the team's emotional anchor. Mark held private talks, expressing concern for David's stress and suggesting he might be too overwhelmed to make sound decisions. Said with empathy, these words carried a hidden message. David's judgment was faltering. Over time, David noticed meetings happening without him, projects reassigned, and colleagues giving him wary glances. Mark never openly criticized him because he didn't need to. The seeds of doubt were already planted, quietly eroding David's standing. This tactic, called triangulation, controls the flow of information through a single intermediary who shapes it to suit their agenda. It's effective because most people don't verify what they hear, relying on a tainted filter instead. Seneca warned, "The harm others do to you is nothing compared to the harm you do yourself by believing them." This is why Stoic wisdom is powerful here. You can't stop their whispers, but you can prevent them from taking root in your mind. Hold fast to the truth you know and keep direct, transparent communication with those who matter. If a friend grows distant, reach out to them directly. If a colleague starts avoiding you, have a candid conversation instead of relying on second-hand information. Don't let manipulators play the middleman they crave to be. Cut them out of the information loop when possible. They target your closest relationships because they know those are your strength. If they can make you doubt your allies or make them doubt you, they weaken you without direct confrontation. That's why a sudden shift in how people treat you demands scrutiny. When someone who once trusted you turns cold without explanation, consider who they've been spending time with and what might have been planted in their mind. The Stoics' sharpest weapon isn't baseless suspicion but clarity. Recognize that some exploit kindness to mask malice. Your task isn't to chase every rumor or justify yourself to everyone, but to stand firm, speak plainly, and not let others rewrite your story. Because when you give them that power, you hand them the tools to fulfill their goal. Understanding this third sign prepares you for something darker, a tactic that reveals not just malice, but a deep understanding of human weakness. The fourth sign: they mimic you, but aim to outshine you. This isn't healthy competition or admiration driving growth. It's an obsessive hatred. One of the most unsettling behaviors you'll encounter. When someone truly despises you, they study you like a spy, not a curious observer. They note your style, your haunts, your company, your speech, even your public persona, not to learn from you, but to copy you. Erase your uniqueness and claim they do it better. This stems from deep insecurity. You represent what they believe they deserve, but can't achieve naturally. Maybe your ease with people, the respect you've earned, or your personal stability. Instead of forging their own path, they make you their benchmark. They think surpassing you in your own game proves their worth to the world and themselves. Their mimicry escalates because their self-worth hinges on outdoing you. Take Pablo Picasso and his rival, Georges Braque. Their early collaboration sparked creativity, but it turned personal. Braque began copying Picasso's work so closely, it was hard to tell them apart. To outsiders, it might have looked like mutual inspiration, but Picasso saw the truth. This wasn't shared brilliance. It was an attempt to steal his space, blur his identity, and prove superiority through imitation. That's the essence of toxic mimicry. It doesn't create value. It erases origins. Healthy inspiration takes a spark and builds something new, openly crediting the source. But when someone hates you, they copy your ideas wholesale, tweak them slightly to seem original, and parade them as their own. At work, they might mimic your proposal, adjust a few details, and pitch it as theirs. In personal life, they adopt your hobbies, but quickly claim to be better or more passionate. This isn't about sharing joy, but stealing your ownership. The most dangerous part is the gaslighting they might accuse you of copying them, flipping the narrative, so you look like the imitator while they're the innovator. This reversal doesn't just discredit you, it fuels their story of superiority. Over time, you feel like you're living in a distorted mirror where every choice is shadowed by someone trying to outdo you. Epictetus said, "To improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This is your antidote to their game. When you stop needing to beat them, you sap their energy. The Stoic response isn't to compete harder, but to step back from comparison entirely. Your refusal to engage extinguishes their obsessive drive. No matter how much they mimic you, they can't replicate your inner foundation unless you let them sway your actions. You'll feel this sign when you're around them, or even just thinking of them. True inspiration energizes you, even makes you proud. Malicious competition leaves you drained, insecure, and on edge. If someone only enters your orbit to mimic and surpass you, that unease is a warning worth heeding. Your instincts are signaling they're not here to walk with you. They're here to rewrite your story with themselves as the star. That's why this matters so much. The longer you stay entangled with such people, the more emotional energy you lose. You start watching their every move, anticipating their next step, and soon you're trapped in the same competitive cycle they're stuck in. The Stoic path demands you let go of this pull. Step back. Guard your boundaries. Remember, your life's value isn't measured by others' achievements. By staying calm and refusing to play their petty game, you win. The only way that matters, you keep your peace, identity, and focus. Now we reach the fifth and final sign, tying all the pieces together. This sign is the most revealing and dangerous because it strikes at how you experience those around you daily. Once you see it, it's unforgettable. The fifth sign, every interaction with them leaves you drained. This isn't just a tense conversation or someone in a bad mood. It's a consistent pattern that quietly erodes your confidence, energy, and inner peace. Every time you engage with them, at first, you might not notice because nothing feels overtly dramatic. But you walk away feeling uneasy, slightly anxious, or even angry without pinpointing why. You replay the conversation, searching for the exact moment it went wrong. That's the trap. There's rarely a clear moment because the harm is delivered in tiny, subtle doses, slipping past your conscious defense. When someone truly hates you, they emit toxic energy even in the most mundane exchanges. Their tone may be calm, their words polite, but their presence corrodes. Your intuition catches it before your logic does. Suddenly, you're spending mental energy just staying vigilant, guarding against subtle attacks, too small to name, but too sharp to ignore. That's why these interactions exhaust you. It shows in the smallest details, a backhanded compliment laced with sarcasm, a slight smirk after a remark that hits a sore spot, or a casual mention of a past mistake dropped into conversation like it's harmless. Imagine someone eyeing your work and saying, "It's better than I expected," or glancing at your home and noting, "It's nice." Especially for this neighborhood, each phrase is cloaked in thin politeness but designed to wound. Over time, you change without realizing it. You avoid certain topics, speak more cautiously, and question your thoughts before sharing. It's not because you're overly sensitive, it's self-preservation. You've learned Their words can be weaponized in subtle ways. They might even deny what they said or twist your words to make you seem unreasonable. This constant distortion makes you doubt not just the relationship, but your memory, judgment, and stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The danger is that prolonged exposure to their corrosive influence taints your thinking. You wonder if you're overreacting, too sensitive, or if they're right about you. That's how this slow psychological war works, not with a single blow, but by wearing you down until you no longer trust yourself. Once that happens, you're far easier to manipulate. The Stoic response isn't to confront every slight or demand apologies for every veiled jab that's playing their game. Instead, step back and see the pattern for what it is. Your peace is yours to protect, and you do so by limiting their influence. You don't argue about their intentions because that traps you in their framework. With calm resolve, decide. Your mind won't be their playground. Trust your instincts. If you feel drained, diminished, or uncertain after every encounter, that's not random. Your subconscious is sounding an alarm your conscious mind hasn't fully grasped. You don't need undeniable proof of their malice. The impact they have on you is enough to set boundaries, to keep your distance, and to protect your inner strength. This subtle psychological erosion is the final and perhaps most dangerous sign of true hatred, because it doesn't just harm your reputation or steal your ideas, it seeks to rewrite how you see yourself from within. Recognizing this pattern completes the circle of all the signs we've discussed. It shows that true hatred is rarely loud or chaotic. It's calculated, patient, and silent. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. How you act on this knowledge determines whether you stay caught in its spiral or step toward the clarity and strength Stoics call true freedom. If you've watched this far, these 5 signs aren't just insights into human behavior, they're tools for survival. They distinguish between living with inner peace and enduring years of silent sabotage by those who smile to your face but undermine you in the shadows. Now that you see it, you can't ignore it. You can't pretend these people are harmless. Stoicism teaches that while you can't control others' malice, you can guard the gates of your soul. Don't owe anyone a seat at your table if they're there to poison the meal. Subscribe now. Like this video, share it with someone facing a silent enemy, and comment below, "I choose peace over toxicity,"